My daughter Kuri has DRPLA, a disease that causes the brain to atrophy. It is hereditary, progressive, and there is no cure. Kuri is bedridden. My husband, Chiaki, passed away from this disease 4 years ago. I wanted to find a cure for DRPLA, so I wrote OHANA Family 10 years ago. I hope that I can save my daughter. Chapter 1: Frequent epileptic episodes. After the first epilepsy, everything passed normally for a while. But in the second half of Kuri's third year, epilepsy began to occur once every 2 to 3 months. This is what most people image a grand mal seizure to be. She would lose consciousness, her eyes would drift in the wrong direction, and her body would go crazy. When I first saw Kuri's epilepsy, I was really worried. What is going to happen to her? But after the doctor told us how to deal with epilepsy and that there was no need to call an ambulance every time, I was able to look at Kuri with a little more calmness. But then Kuri started having other types of epilepsy. The first time it happened was in Macy's at the Alamana shopping center. We were walking through the store as usual when Kuri's steps slowed down. For some reason, she started to look around her. Her body stiffened. "Mom, I'm scared here." The light from the ceiling light reflected on the floor. Kuri seemed stuck on that light. I sensed something was wrong and walked out of Macy's, still holding her hand. "Kuri, it's going to be okay." I looked at Kuri beside me, and Kuri's head spun back in a ground. Kuri's head turned backward like an owl. Kuri's head turned! I was so surprised. Chiaki and I picked Kuri up and carried her to a bench. Her neck was bent in a strange way, and she was unconscious. Is this another type of epilepsy? It was only a few minutes, but it seemed like a very long time to us. When Kuri came to her senses, she was sobbing like a baby. She probably had no idea what had happened. We didn't know either. We just kept asking, "What is going on to happen to Kuri?" And the fear continued to grow as if my own body was going cold and chilled. An unforgettable epilepsy that lasted through her third grade. I think it happened about 6 times as a number. But I never wanted it to happen again. It was a horrible epilepsy that would freeze the air around her. At one point, Kuri's hand started moving on their own like marionette, and she could not stop. Even when we tried to stop her, her hands would move on their own, no matter how far we tried to go. On other days, something invisible grabbed her by the hair and seemed to shake her body. Kuri's appearance was that of an exorcist. If it were in Japan, it would be a folk's possession. The scene continued for several minutes, like a scene from a movie. We could do nothing but call out, "Kuri, Kuri!" We had minimal knowledge of epilepsy, but we knew that this epilepsy was definitely not good for her. We called the ambulance several times. We changed her medication, and she no longer had the terrible epilepsy of those days. But since the epilepsy, Kuri's ability to read has dropped dramatically. The spelling that she could read before became unreadable.